Okay, we're going to talk about domain and range of graphs. So each of these graphs have a beginning and an end. And what I'm talking about when I say a beginning and an end is they're all some type of segment, whether they're a straight line segment or they're a curved segment. They don't continue to the left forever and they don't continue to the right forever. Hence, this left end is an open circle, the right end is a closed circle, and it's all the points in between. Same thing here on number 2. You've got a point, an end point on the left end, and then an open circle, which is an end point on the right end, and all of the points in between are filled in. So these are examples of continuous graphs. Same thing with number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. These are all continuous graphs. So they continue from left to right. They are not discrete. When we are working with discrete domains and ranges, we use domains that have the listed values for their ranges in braces. That's for discrete. When we're talking about continuous graphs have a domain and range in interval notation. Their domain and range is in interval notation. So that's what we'll be working with today. I'm going to use 2 colored highlighters to show you our domains and our range for each graph. I'm going to delete this here. So I'm going to first identify the left end of my domain and the right end of my domain. I know that my domain is going to be separated by a comma, and I'm going to either use a bracket or a parenthesis on the left, and then a bracket or a parenthesis on the right. So my domain from left to right, the left end is at -5 and the right end is at +4. So the left end is at -5, the right end is at +4. And now we need to figure out whether or not we use a bracket or a parenthesis for the left end. So we look at our graph and we say, is -5, when I put a -5 in, is that an open circle or a closed circle? So is there an ordered pair that starts with -5 and gives me a value for y? And the answer to that is no, because it's an open circle. So that means that we would use a parenthesis on the left end because -5 is not included because of that open circle. On the right end, when I put a +4 in, I get a closed circle. So that means 4, 5 would be the ordered pair. 4 is part of the domain. So therefore, the right end would be a bracket. So let's try domain and range again, and then I'm going to come back and let's try domain again, and then I'll come back and do the range. So let's talk about number 2. The left end is -2, and then we continue to the right at +2. Now, -2 has an output of 4, so -2 is going to have a bracket. +2 is an open circle, so 2, -4 is not a point that is on the graph, so +2 is a parenthesis. +2 is a parenthesis. So let me show you this. We go from -2 to +2. -2 is included because -2 is part of the domain. But +2, we go all the way up to +2, but when we get to +2, it's an open circle, so +2 is a parenthesis on the right. We always go from left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. Smaller to the larger, so smaller on the left, larger on the right. Let's do another domain. Let's do another domain. So number 3, on the left, my domain is going to start at -4, and it's going to continue to the right at positive 3. And it includes all the values in between. So all of the values in between. See, all of these values are inputs because I get out on the graph. So everything from negative 4 to positive 3, negative 4 to positive 3 is part of the domain. Negative 4 is not included because of the open circle right here. So I'm going to have a parenthesis. And positive 3 is not included because when I put a positive 3 in, I get out an open circle again. So negative 4, positive 3. Okay, let's do number 4. Number 4, the domain starts from the left at negative 2 and continues to the right at positive 3. So left is negative 2, right is positive 3. Negative 2, if I put a negative 2 in, I get a 0 out, so negative 2 is part of the domain. However, positive 3, if I put a positive 3 in, I get an open circle here, and I get an open circle down there. Neither one of those is closed, therefore 3 is not included in the domain. So there is the domain of each one of those. Now we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the range. So I'm going to change my highlighter to a different color, to use blue. My range are my y values, so I'm going to go low, low to high, okay? Low to high. So low is going to be on the left, high is going to be on the right when we're talking about interval notation. Oops, so sorry. Just want to make sure I was on the right page. Okay, so my low y value is positive 4, and my high y value is positive 5. So positive 4, positive 5. 4 is not included because there is not an output of 4 on the graph. So that is a parenthesis. However, all of the outputs in between 4 and 5 are included all the way up to 5. 5 is an output, that is a bracket. Let's try another. I think just seeing a few of these will help. Okay, our low on number 2 is a 4. Our high is a 0. So our graph is graphed for the y-axis between negative 4 to 0. So the y-axis from negative 4 to 0. So I'm going to write that. Negative 4 is low, 0 is higher, negative 4 to 0. Now negative 4, is there an output of negative 4? Well, right here, there's not an output of negative 4. However, negative 4 is an output over here. See how that's a closed circle? So negative 4 is indeed an output. So it is a bracket on the left. And positive 0. So we start from negative 4 and we go all the way up to 0. That's what this blue section is, right? So negative 4 to 0, and 0 does have an output. 0, 0 is part of the graph. Let me erase that for you and show you. 0, 0 right here is part of the graph. Therefore, 0, if 0, 0 is part of the graph, 0 is indeed an output, so it's going to have a bracket. Let's do another range. Our low is 2, our high is 4, and it's all the values in between. So from negative 2 to positive 4, now we just have to determine, is negative 2 an output? Is there an ordered pair? Is there an ordered pair where there's an x value that gives me a negative 2 as a y value? And there is. It's somewhere right here. I don't know exactly what that x value is. It looks like it might be negative 1.5, but there's definitely an x value that has a negative 2 as a y value, so negative 2 is included. Going all the way up, see there's all of these outputs between 0 and 4, but is there an ordered pair that gives us 4 as an output? And the answer to that is no, because that's an open circle. Therefore, 4 is a parenthesis. So our range goes from -2 to +4. Okay, I like the way I showed that, so I'm going to do that one more time here. -4 is our low, +4 is the high. -4 to +4. Is there an ordered pair that gives me an output of -4? And the answer to that is no. So that means -4 is not included in the range. Is there an output or an input that gives me +4 as an output? Is there an x value that gives me +4 as an output? And the answer to that is also no. So that would be a parenthesis as well. Okay, I'm going to have you see if you can try 5, 6, 7, 8, and in the next video I'll come back and explain those so that you can check your answers and then also continue to get additional instruction in case the first 4 were a little confusing and you need some more practice.